Hello again, everybody. It's Brian with Chapter Books with Brian. So we already did Chapter 1 of Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. This is Chapter 2. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. Are you ready for Chapter 2? Let's do it. Chapter 2, Mr. and Mrs. Juicy O. Now, one night, my father came home from the office all excited. He told us that Mr. and Mrs. Yarby were coming to New York. He's the president of the Juicy O Company. He lives in Chicago. I wonder if he'd bring my father another crate of Juicy O. If he did, I'd probably be drinking it the rest of my life. Just the thought of it was enough to make my stomach hurt. My father said he invited Mr. and Mrs. Yarby to stay with us. My mother wanted to know why they couldn't stay at a hotel like most people when they come to New York. My father said they could, but he didn't want them to. He thought they'd be more comfortable staying with us. My mother said that was about the silliest thing she'd ever heard of. But she fixed up Fudge's bedroom for our guests. She put fancy sheets and a brand new blanket on the hide-a-bed. That's a sofa that opens up into a bed at night. It's in Fudge's room because that used to be our den. Now, before he was born, we used to watch TV in there. And lots of times, Grandma slept over in the hide-a-bed. Now we watch TV in the living room. And Grandma doesn't sleep over very often. My mother moved Fudge's crib into my room. Now, he's going to get a regular bed when he's 3, my mother says. There were a lot of reasons I don't like to sleep in the same room as Fudge. I found that out 2 months ago when my bedroom was being painted. I had to sleep in Fudge's room for 3 nights because that paint smell, it made me cough. For one thing, he talks in his sleep. And if a person didn't know any better, a person could get scared. Another thing is that slurping noise he makes. Now, it's true that I do like to hear it when I'm awake. But when I'm trying to sleep, I like things very quiet. When I complained about having to sleep with Fudge, my mother said, "It's just for 2 nights, Peter." I'll sleep in the living room, I suggested. On the sofa, or even a chair. "No," my mother said. "You'll sleep in your own bedroom, in your own bed." There was no point in arguing. Mom wasn't going to change her mind. She spent the day in the kitchen. She really cooked up a storm. She used so many pots and pans that Fudge didn't have any left to bang together. And that's one of Fudge's favorite pastimes, banging pots and pans together. A person can get an awful headache listening to that racket. Right after lunch, my mother opened up the dinner table. We don't have a separate dining room. When we have company for dinner, we eat at one end of the living room. When Mom finished setting the table, she put a silver bowl filled with flowers right in the middle. I say, "Ma, it looks like you're expecting the president or something." She said, "Very funny, Peter," my mother answered. Now, sometimes my mother laughs like crazy at my jokes. Other times she pretends not to get them. And then there are times when I know she gets them, but she doesn't seem to like them. This was one of those times. So I decided no more jokes until after dinner. I went to Jimmy Fargo's in the afternoon. I came home at 4 o'clock. I found my mother standing over the dinner table mumbling. Fudge was on the floor playing with my father's socks. Now, I'm not sure why he likes socks so much, but if you give him a few pairs, he'll play quietly for like an hour. I said, "Hey, Ma, I'm home." "I'm missing 2 flowers," my mother said. Well, I don't know how she noticed that 2 flowers were missing from her silver bowl, because there was at least a dozen of them left. But sure enough, when I checked, I saw that 2 stems had nothing on them. "Well, don't look at me, Mom," I said. "What would I do with 2 measly flowers?" So we both looked at Fudge. Did you take Mommy's flowers? My mother asked him. No take, Fudge said. He was chewing on something. What's in your mouth? My mother asked. Fudge didn't answer. Show Mommy. What did you do with Mommy's flowers? She raised her voice. She was getting really upset. Fudge laughed. Tell Mommy! Yum! Fudge said. Yummy, yummy, yummy! Oh no! My mother cried, racing to the telephone. She called Dr. Cone. She told him that Fudge had eaten 2 flowers. Dr. Cone must have asked what kind because my mother said, roses, I think, but I can't be sure. One of them might have been a daisy. There was a long pause while my mother listened to whatever Dr. Cone had to say. Then Mom said, Thank you, Dr. Cone. She hung up. No more flowers, she told Fudge. You understand? No more, Fudge repeated. No more, no more, no more. No more. My mother gave him a spoonful of peppermint-flavored medicine, you know, the kind I take when I have stomach pains. Then she carried Fudge off to have his bath. Leave it to my brother to eat flowers. I wondered how they tasted. I mean, maybe they're delicious, and I don't know, because I've never tasted one. I decided to find out. I picked off one petal from a pink rose. I put it in my mouth. I tried to chew it up, but I couldn't do it. It tasted awful. I spit it out into the garbage. Hey, well, at least I knew I wasn't missing anything great. Now, Fudge ate his supper in the kitchen table before our company arrived. Now, while he was eating, I heard my mother remind him, Fudgy's going to be a good boy tonight. Very good for Daddy's friends. Good, Fudge said. Good boy. That's right, my mother told him. I changed and scrubbed up while Fudge ate his supper. I was going to eat with the company. Being 9 has its advantages.